Okay, moving into adding fractions. We're going to talk about adding fractions with like denominators and then adding fractions with unlike denominators. So starting with the simpler ones, adding fractions with like denominators, meaning our denominators are the same. When our denominators are the same, that means we can just add our numerators and then simplify from there. So in our first one, 7/10 plus 6/10, again, you only add numerators. The denominator stays the same. So I know my denominator is going to be 10. 7 plus 6 gives us 13, which we want to rewrite as a mixed number. So 10 goes into 13 one time, with the remainder of 3. So 1 3/10. All right, second one, 5/8 plus negative 7/8. We're working with some negatives here. So I have more negatives than positives because we're going to move this negative into the numerator. It's 5 plus negative 7. Think about what we did last chapter is a negative 2. Denominator stays the same. We check, we need to simplify. They're both divisible by 2. So it gives us a final answer of negative 1/4. Alright, so like denominator is pretty simple. We just add our numerator, simplify if we need to, and denominator stays the same. When we have fractions with unlike denominators, you cannot add fractions that have unlike denominators, so we need to get them to be the same. First example, 3/8 plus 5/24. First thing you always want to check, can I turn my smaller one into my larger one by multiplying? If you're not sure, try dividing. 24 divided by 8 is 3, which means that we can do that. So this fraction is going to stay the same because our denominator is going to be 24. So 5/24. Here, we're going to multiply by 3 to get to that 24. If I do it to the denominator, you must also do it to the numerator. You cannot do it to just one. So it gives us 9/24. 3/8, 9/24, they're really the same fraction. They just look different. When you multiply the same thing in your numerator and denominator, you're really multiplying by 1. Okay, so now it's fractions with like denominators. Add our numerators. So 9/15 gives us 14/24, which reduces to 7/12. All right, second one, negative 3/10 plus negative 5 3/4. Well, I want to change this into an improper fraction first. I'm just going to do it off the side. 5 and 4 gives us 20, plus 3 is 23, so negative 23/4. Now, I can't change a 4 into a 10. If I did 10 divided by 4, I would get a decimal. However, I know that I can change them both into a 20. So I'm going to multiply my second fraction, numerator and denominator, by 5, which gives us denominator of 20 and a numerator of 115. Now, first fraction, how do I get a 10 to a 20? We multiply by 2. Again, numerator and denominator. This is a negative here. We're going to move that negative up. So 2 times negative 3 gives us negative 6/20. Negative 6 plus negative 115, they are both negative, so we are in fact adding, not subtracting. Gives us 121, so negative 121/20. 20 goes into 126 times, so negative 6, remainder of 1, so negative 6 and 1/20. Now, if all else fails, we could always just multiply. So if I didn't see the 20, I could have taken 23 and 4 times 10, and then 3 and 10 times 4. That will always work if you just take your denominators and multiply them across, basically. You just have more reducing to do at the end. Okay, so let's look at a word problem. Yedo needs 3 3/4 cups of sugar to make cookies. He needs an additional 3/4 cup for bread. Find the total amount of sugar that Yedo needs. So we have 3 3/4 plus 3/4. And go ahead and change this into an improper again. So 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15, over 4, plus 3/4. I already have like denominators. We always like when that happens because it makes it shorter. So 15 plus 3 is 18. Denominator again stays the same. I'm going to go ahead and reduce this, so I have smaller numbers, both divisible by 2. So that gives us 9/2. Still cannot leave it improper, so 2 goes into 9 4 times, remainder of 1, so 4.5 cups of sugar because it's a word problem. Alright, so this was a much shorter lesson. I know the last couple videos have been pretty long. So a couple now you tries. You want to find the sum of each, then write in simplest form. So one with like denominators, one with unlike. Please make sure you are showing all of your work and make sure everything is in simplest form.